One genre of games that has definitely fallen by the wayside has to be the arcade racing genre. The arcade racing genre was huge in the late 80s to mid 90s. Everyone was talking about the latest arcade racing games. But as the video game industry started to grow, things like arcade racing games, things like beat 'em up games, they started coming less and less to home consoles because it was harder and harder to justify full price releases on these games because they were short experiences, little bursts here and there. Now, of course, with things like the indie revolution and digital distribution starting to pop up, you're starting to see a return to form for these series. You're starting to see these games thrust back into the limelight. And one arcade racing game that I've had my eye on for quite a while is a game called Horizon Chase Turbo. Now, this game released on Steam and PS4, and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool. I hope it comes to the Nintendo Switch. And then it was announced for the Nintendo Switch. And I was like, this could be a really good fit for the Nintendo Switch. Something about retro games and your palm of your hand on your Nintendo Switch just feels so right. So when Horizon Chase Turbo was announced, I definitely wanted to get my hands on it and review this game for the Nintendo Switch. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, the developer of the game did reach out to me and offer to sponsor this video, to which I said, that's cool, this is a game I'm looking forward to and I think has potential, but if there's problems with the game, I'm going to talk about them. Thankfully, they were okay with that. So now we're going to talk about Horizon Chase Turbo. This game has a lot of potential and it could end up being one of the most kick-ass racing games on the Nintendo Switch. Spoiler alert, it is a kick-ass game. So what is Horizon Chase Turbo all about? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into this game.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my god, it's Stevie Richards! So I've seen a lot of people talk about Horizon Chase Turbo and sort of compare it to the Outrun series, and I definitely get some Outrun-like inspirations, but I think it's deeper than that. I get influences of Top Gear, I get influences of Pole Position, and even Daytona USA when it comes to Horizon Chase Turbo. Now, Horizon Chase Turbo is at its core an arcade racing game. The main game mode is the World Tour mode, which of course, you are going around different tracks in different environments trying to finish as high as you can in order to unlock more tracks and more races to do. Now, what's cool about this game is it's not just a position of finishing in first place. There's also chips that are on each level, and you want to collect all of these chips as you go along because it gives you additional bonuses, plus it increases how you do in terms of your race. Now, if you want to get really tricky with it, there's something called a Super Trophy. A Super Trophy requires you to get all the chips on a level, get your fuel gauge all the way up when you finish the race, and of course finish in first place. Now, when you start out playing the game, you're not going to be getting many Super Trophies with the cars that you have unlocked at your disposal, but as you keep playing the game, you keep unlocking more and more cars. There's over 30 cars to unlock in the game as well, and some of the higher tier cars are just absolutely insanely fast, so you'll quickly start to get things like Super Trophies, but your main goal is to just sort of get through the World Tour mode at least once and acquire all the different races. Now, what's cool about the game is there's upgrades in it as well, and there's actually specific races that are for upgrades. So when you get to an upgrade section, you basically want to finish in third or better, and then you unlock upgrades for all of your cars that you have unlocked. Each upgrade system has two different upgrades with it that you pick, so something like acceleration and top speed, or top speed and handling. You pick what you want out of those two things, and then it puts it on all the cars that you have unlocked. So that way, you could still use your older cars if you want to, and they'll still upgrade, but of course, the top tier cars are the ones you'll probably want to use. Now, as far as the cars are concerned, there is some customization in terms of colors, but they are predetermined. There's it's probably 7 or 8 different color schemes that you could do for each individual car. I would have definitely liked to have seen a fully custom color scheme, you know, a little black and purple, you know, some RGT colors going on, but it was cool, you know, it does do the job decently enough in my opinion. Now, surprisingly, the World Tour mode is actually pretty long. There's a lot of different races, and once you actually start racing in the game, that's where you really start to see the absolute beauty of this game, because it's beauty in terms of gameplay and it's beauty in terms of presentation. But let's talk about the gameplay first, because of course, that's a bit more important than graphics in my opinion. The gameplay definitely feels like a combination of things like Outrun, Pole Position, Top Gear, and Daytona USA. I would say the Daytona USA influence is as far as when you hit a car from behind. So when you are racing behind someone and you hit them, it'll propel them forward, but it'll slow you down. Some people may not like that. Some people that may be a bit jarring for, but for me personally, as someone who played a lot of Daytona USA and understood how the physics were in that game, I felt right at home with it. It actually made me like the game more because you don't want to knock into cars. You don't want to knock into the atmosphere and the environment that you're in and, you know, flip your car over. You want to just go around these corners really, really freaking fast. There's also also nitro in the game as well. You have a predetermined amount of nitro that you can use, and it'll last for a predetermined amount of time. You can also upgrade your nitro, like I said, in those upgrade races, and there's usually one nitro pickup in the game as well when you're racing on a course. So you sort of start to figure in things. There's actually some strategy more so than just finishing in first. Now, the handling in the game is absolutely phenomenal. Like, at first I was trying to go into corners pretty slow because I wasn't quite sure how jarring it would be, but it's blistering fast, and you can take these corners at like almost top speed sometimes and just do fine as long as you're in the right position and in the right area to be in. It's absolutely so much fun doing the World Tour and doing the races in general because of the variety of stuff going on. The courses, they vary in terms of areas, they vary in terms of weather effects, they vary in terms of terrain that you're going on. Sometimes you'll be on dirt, sometimes you'll be in the middle of a snowstorm, sometimes you'll be in a rainstorm. It's really crazy how much variety. There's even different times of day, like a day to night cycle that goes on in these races as well. Now, the races themselves are admittedly pretty short, but that's just sort of the arcade nature of the game. There are additional game modes though that start to really open up the races, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Like I said though, the meat and potato of the game is the World Tour mode, and if this game only offered the World Tour mode, like, I would be completely satisfied with it. Like, it's very long, there's a lot to unlock, the additional super trophies that you want to go back and unlock to get additional cars as well just makes you keep wanting to play it. But there's also other things going on as well. There's also a tournament mode in the game as well that sort of plays out a bit like Mario Kart in terms of just a bunch of different courses. Whoever finishes the best over the set amount of courses is of course the winner of it. There is the playground mode as well, which is actually exclusive to the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox One version of the game, and will be coming to the other versions of the game later. But the playground mode is pretty cool. It's an online sort of thing where they give you different parameters. So some races you won't, you'll be like a time trial. Some races you won't have any nitro at your disposal. Some races will be, reverse tracks and things like that. It really gives you a bit of different variety, and it's something that the developer has said that they will be consistently updating, so that's pretty cool in my opinion. I like the playground mode. And if you want to get really crazy, there's also endurance races as well, where you have to just, go for a set amount of time and a set amount of laps in order to unlock different things in the game. And there are things that you can only unlock in the various modes, so that's cool. It gives you a reason to keep going back and keep playing this game. Now, in terms of multiplayer, there is local multiplayer, but sadly there is no online multiplayer. There are online leaderboards where you can see how you stack up against your friends and stack up against the rest of the world on various courses, but there is no online racing, and honestly that's sort of a shame for me. That's probably my biggest complaint about the game. I like being able to do online races, so it does kind of suck that there are no online races in the game. The presentation in this game is absolutely amazing. The graphics and audio in this game are absolutely top notch. Like, you look at this game and it just looks so beautiful. The color palettes, the way they sort of used a cell shaded style for the HD era, it just looks absolutely fantastic. As you're going around through different courses throughout the world, you start to see little things in the background that are indicative of those environments. The weather effects look awesome. The day to night transitions look awesome. It's definitely a very 80s sort of vibe, and I totally dig that. And that also translates into the music as well. There's a lot of different synthwave music in here. I would have liked a little bit more synthwave music, maybe something like in the style of Kavinsky, Danger, Mega Drive. You people probably have no idea who those guys are. Go look up some Kavinsky music though. Kavinsky absolutely kicks ass. But the music as what it is totally awesome. I totally dig it. It totally fits the game, and it definitely helps in, making this presentation just absolutely top notch. The game runs at 60 frames per second when you're playing with 2 players or less. I've heard that it dips down to 30 frames per second when you're playing with 3 or more players, but honestly, it just looks so good. I don't even think it matters, to be completely honest with you. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Now, as far as complaints are concerned with the game, aside from the lack of online multiplayer, I do have a few minor quibbles, but nothing really major. I would say the biggest minor quibble I have is very stupid, and it's really not a big deal, but I want to talk about it anyways. Basically, sometimes when you hit someone or when you pass by someone, a little speech bubble will come up and your racer will say something, and I'm like, that's just kind of unneeded. Like, I don't know, it's not a big deal, like I said, but it just sort of bothered me from time to time. I was kind of like, just shut up and race. Like, let's get this race done, let's get this bread, let's get these other cars, and let's keep having fun. All in all though, Horizon Chase Turbo really surprised me. I expected the game to be good, but I think this game is great. This is one of the most fun games I've played in a long time, especially in the racing genre, because as a fan of arcade racing games, it's finding it harder and harder to find these style of games. There's a lot of content, there's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of things to unlock in the game. The game looks absolutely beautiful, runs fantastic on the Switch. I played for like an hour in handheld mode, and I was just like drooling at how good this game looked and ran. There's like no sort of disparity between handheld and dock mode. It sounds great, the controls are tight, the gameplay is super smooth, and like I said, there's a ton of stuff to unlock. For $20, $20, this game is an absolute steal in my opinion. It's definitely a game that you need to check out if you're a fan of racing games, arcade racing games, any sort of racing games. It's definitely one of the best racing games on the Nintendo Switch, and definitely a game that I really feel a lot of people should check out. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of this game, what you think of the footage that I've shown, and what you think I've said. Maybe you've picked it up and maybe you've been playing it. If so, let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.